Welcome to another episode of Clark Unboxing. Before we get started, I wanted to take a minute to just say a big thank you and a give back to you guys. We're going to give you either eBay cards or some sort of thing. You want a free something, all you have to do is subscribe. When we hit 2,000 subscribers, one of you is going to get one of these things for free. Anyway, let's jump right into it. Today's watch is a pretty cool little Seiko. This is something that hit the market about a year ago, caught everybody off guard, and it's kind of very hot in the market right now. So let's go and have a look what we're talking about here. So this little Seiko has a pretty pathetic box, in my opinion, frankly. It comes with this little card here. This box looks, something like you would see at Walmart or a dollar store or maybe, I don't know, Kohl's or something like that. But inside this box, there's a really special watch. A watch of a quality and a type that usually costs much, much more. So go out and get one of these. Let's open this box up and see what inside we have. So this is the Seiko 5 Sports GMT. This is the SSK005 model. Now this is the bright orange watch, but it's also available in blue or black. And it is a GMT, which means that it has hands to track current time and 24-hour time, and then a movable bezel on the outside for tracking a third time zone if you want to. And to look at how using a GMT works, go and check out my video on how to use an office GMT and the history of GMT watches. So this is an office GMT as opposed to what's called a traveler's GMT or a true GMT. But don't be fooled by the term true GMT, because this is in fact a GMT watch with all the features. It just has a little bit different functionality. Again, go check out the video that I made on what the differences are and how that works. Let's have a look at this watch. So here you have a 42.5 millimeter diameter by 46 millimeter lug to lug with a 13 millimeter case thickness on a stainless steel bracelet. There's a little bit of brushing on the outside, but some polished center links with a Jubilee style bracelet. If you go back and you watch my Citizen Tsuyosa video, you'll notice that I talk about how that Jubilee bracelet has a lot of light gap between the pieces and that it feels kind of cheap. But this bracelet is much more substantial. It has brushing on the inside, and it has the typical Seiko clasp, which is stamped stainless steel, and it just kind of clicks together very nicely. It's not a high-end bracelet or clasp by any means, but for what you pay, this retails for about $475 right now in the US. This is a very well executed little bracelet and watch. Inside, there is a 24 jewel Seiko automatic 4R34 movement. It is their new mechanical GMT movement. This watch does not have a screw down crown. The first position is winding. Second position is adjusting the 24-hour hand. Third position adjusts the time. And there's another position in here which occasionally you can fiddle with and get it to set the date independently. Otherwise, you have to scrub through. But yeah. And if you'll notice, it has a nice sunburst appearance to it. But when you're wearing this watch, it almost feels like a monocle on your wrist. It has a very tall presence. At the same time, it doesn't flop. I have an 18 centimeter wrist. This does not pinch my hairs at all. It's a good fit, and it doesn't slide from one side to the other, even though I have it a little bit loose on the wrist. I love how this has a very deep rehaut to it. On the edge of the crystal, there's a beveled edge. This is a mineral crystal. Seiko calls this their Hardlex crystal, and indeed it is harder than a standard mineral crystal. I've been wearing this watch quite a bit, and it doesn't have any scratches on it. The outside bezel is adjustable, and between the 600 and the 1800, it has a different sheen to it, which you can see right here in this view. It's a little shinier on the south end of it than it is on the north end, even though both parts of the bezel are polished. And I suspect this is also made out of Hardlex, but has some sort of underlying layer to it to give it that sheened appearance. So it almost kind of mimics the two-tone kind of Pepsi dial, except it's black on black. I think it has a very handsome presence to it. So the bracelet is adjusted with push pins. It's not a screw down pins, and it also has micro adjustments built into the clasp. On the face, it has applied markers, which use a special lume that's made by Seiko. It's actually quite bright. Magnifier is over the date window, which is at the 3 o'clock position. And it does not have independently jumping hour hand. Instead, it has the jumping 24-hour hand. The bezel is bi-directional, and it moves very smoothly. It doesn't have a click to it. I like the way that it is, and it stays put. Now, even though this doesn't have a screw-down crown, you can find online some videos of this being pressure tested, and it does seem to match up with the claim of 100-meter water resistance. Nevertheless, in my opinion, I would never use this to go swimming or diving. After all, this is a GMT watch and not a diver's watch. So what are the competitors for this watch? Well, there's nothing that directly competes with it except for the Timex GMT series. And those, if you go to the Timex website right now, there's actually a waiting list. The Timex is in the $200 and something price range, and it has a plastic crystal, as this is a much more high quality watch with a 24 jewel movement. I feel like this would last longer than the Timex. Some people will say that an office GMT isn't worth the money because it's not a true traveler's GMT, but I would like to point out that there are some high-end GMT watches that have been made by other Swiss makers in the past using the ETA 2893-2 movement, such as you would find in the older Panerai GMTs from the mid-2000s, or even in the old Breitling Windrider. It also has that same movement. If you look at the Tag Heuer Aqua Racer 300 GMT, it uses the Stellita SW3301 movement, and that is also an office GMT. If you're looking for one of those watches, used, they'll cost you starting around $3,500 and going up from there. So that's the Seiko 5 Sports GMT. I think you guys should go out and get one of these before there's a waiting list for these too. Anyway, it's worth the money. Remember to like and subscribe.